Hello, quick introduction to the video. My name is Cameron. I'm a graduate apprentice software engineer currently studying at Glasgow University, and I'm using this video as a way to rubber ducky debug a LeetCode problem, just solving the question and talking myself through it to help me understand the question, and prove as a resource for anyone else going through these questions as well. So the question I'm going to be attempting is one of the ones in the beginner set here, and it's 1342, number of steps to reduce a number to 0. So I'm just going to switch over to my notes, create a new note for this. So it is LeetCode, and we're on 1342. So the question is, given an integer num, return the number of steps to reduce it to 0. In one step, if the number is even, you have to divide it by 2. Otherwise, you have to subtract 1 for it. You have to subtract 1 from it. So 14, that takes 6 steps, okay? So you divide it by 2, and that gets you to 7. It's odd, so you have to subtract 1, that takes you to 6. 6 is now even, so you have to divide it by 2, that gives you 3. 3 is odd, so you have to subtract 1, that gives you 2. 2 is even, divided by 2, that gives you 1. And then 1 minus 1 is 0, so that takes you 6 steps. That makes sense. So, any constraints, the only constraint here is that it has to be it's less than, the number that you're given is less than or equal to 10 to the power 6, but greater than or equal to 0. So, I'm just going to write down some ideas for this. So, I think it's because you don't know how many times you're going to have to loop, I think you're just going to have to do, it's going to be a while loop. A while loop. And this while loop is going to be while the input number is just called num. So you're going to be looping while num is not 0. And if num is even, divided by 2. And we'll have some sort of variable called like steps, or steps taken. Steps taken variable is needed. So it's a while loop while the number is not 0, as in if the number is even, divided by 2, and increment steps taken by 1. If num is odd, decrement by 1, and then increment steps taken by 1. So whether you divide by 2 or decrement it by 1, you're going to increment this steps taken variable by 1. And so let's do a dry run of, let's say the number, let's take 8, right? So loop while num is not 0, 8 is not 0. So if num is even, divided by 2, that's 4. Steps is equal to 1. It's increment steps taken by 1. So 4 is odd. Or 4 is not odd, 4 is even. So again, it goes down to 2. Steps is equal to 2. 2 is even, so it's going to go down to 1. Steps is equal to 3. And then 1 is odd, so it's going to decrement by 1. Steps is equal to 4. And then it's going to check, well, each time it goes through this while loop, it's going to check if it's not equal to 0. It's going to see the while loop condition is going to be while not equal to 0, so it's going to see that it's equal to 0, and so it's going to exit the loop, And then once all this is done, we need to return steps taken. So I'm going to take all of this, all of these notes, and just shove it into here and comment it out so I can refer back to this if needed. So steps taken, so I'm just going to create a steps, set it to 0, while loop, so while num is not equal to 0. So if num is even, so if when you divide it by 2 the remainder is 0, then num is equal to num divided by 2. Yep. And then steps plus equals 1, so incrementing it by 1. If num, or no, we can just do an else. Num minus equals 1, so just take away 1 from it, and steps is incremented by 1, and we can actually move this steps just completely out of this because it's going to happen regardless, so steps plus equals 1. So if it's divisible by 2, divided by 2, else take away 1, and then either way it's going to increment this steps variable by 1. And so we're going to return steps after all of this is done, and there's probably something that's up with this. I think it's just my indentation that's the problem here. Let's try this. Perfect. Yep. So all the test cases have passed. I'm just going to hit submit now. And there we go, that's passed. Thank you very much for watching the whole video if you've got this far. It's greatly appreciated. I hope this was useful to you in some way to see someone else's thought process of solving a LeetCode question. And I love discussing these sorts of problems, so please feel free to put a comment below saying if there was maybe a better way to do this. I love discussing these sorts of questions. And yeah, thank you very much for watching again, and I hope you have a great day.